Now, the next thing we're looking at is Spain versus England and the war between them. Now, I should have put this down here. The key thing here is that the reason why Spain and England are fighting is because of the issue of Dutch independence. So, the Dutch Revolt is this revolt against Spanish control in the late 1500s. It begins, or in the mid to late 1500s. And once again, we have the same dynamic. It's both about religion and politics. Religiously, there are many Calvinists in the Netherlands that resist the Catholic Church. And in fact, we've got violence in between the two sides. Calvinists are burning Catholic churches, desecrating statues and sacramentals and other things like this. And this just gets Philip II, the very strong Catholic king, just very, very angry. But it's not just about religious reform. It's also about politics. We've got Dutch nobles that are resisting the Spanish king. And the Spanish king's insistence that he controls the religion in this area. And so we have that same noble, in this case the Dutch nobles, versus the Spanish king. And this, of course, this Dutch revolt leads to this conflict where the Dutch are fighting against the Spanish send in, troops to occupy this area, and basically this is an ongoing, it goes on for almost a century. It starts in the second half of the 1500s, goes on and off, and actually doesn't end until 1648. So how does England involved? Well, England wants to see the Dutch be independent. Because if the Dutch are independent, they're a small little country right there, and therefore Spain will not be able to control that territory, which is right across the English Channel from England. And England fears an invasion from Catholic Spain. England is Protestant, Anglican under Elizabeth. Philip II, the great Catholic leader of Spain, they're at odds. And it's important to remember that there's a personal animosity between Elizabeth and Philip. Remember, Philip had been married to Mary, Elizabeth's half-sister, and Philip wanted to marry Elizabeth, but Elizabeth turned him down. And, of course, Mary had tried to re-Catholicize England, but now Elizabeth is Anglicizing it back, or, turning it Protestant again. So, Philip doesn't like that. But the biggest issue is that Elizabeth and England, they decide to aid the Dutch revolt. Because once again, England they want the Dutch to win, so that there's this small, weak little state there across the English Channel from them, and not powerful, Catholic Spain. And so the result is that England is aiding the Spanish revolt, the Dutch revolt. Spain cannot suppress that Dutch revolt, and so Spain wants to cut off the money and the sources of that revolt. And so they decide to invade England in 1588. And that, of course, is the disastrous Spanish Armada invasion. And so another win for the Protestants. The Armada is important because it's the beginning of the end of Spanish dominance in Europe. Right? It sort of happens pretty early on in the course. But the Spanish Navy will be, defeated, largely destroyed. And the aftermath of this, what are we going to see? After 1588, we see the dominant naval powers become the Dutch, the British, and the French. So it's a big turning point. The end of this war between Spain and England, as we said, is a Spanish victory. In the Netherlands, it's a victory for the northern provinces. They're able to get their independence, and they become the United Provinces, or known as the Dutch Republic. And their leader is William of Orange. Okay, and so the Dutch Republic becomes an independent country then from Spain. Yes?
What is this William of Orange relationship with
The other William of Orange. The other William of Orange is William III of Orange, who very conveniently for us becomes William III of England. There happened to be two Williams before him in the English dynasty as well, of course. So that's very convenient. And what is the relationship? Your question? He's the great-grandfather of William III of Orange, who invades England during the Glorious Revolution. Okay.
So William III of Orange is still the leader of the Dutch Republic, and then
He is the great-grandson of William of Orange, who's the first who leads this Dutch revolt against the Spanish.
Okay.
So he inherits.
Yeah, it sort of goes down the line.
So
Yeah, the House of Orange inherits the sort of.
So he inherits the Dutch Republic and England?
Yeah, so he's.
Oh, remember the Glorious Revolution. What happens is that Parliament offers him and his wife, Mary, who's the daughter of James, the now Catholic English king in England.
So are they united then?
No, they don't become the same country. They remain two separate governments. Because remember, ultimately the Parliament is in charge, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Must be stressful running two countries.
Well, I mean, in the aftermath of that, we see the role of the king beginning to decline. And technically, he's not king of the Netherlands or the Dutch Republic. It's a republic, so his title is stadholder. So this is sort of the historic noble position. But there is sort of a government of mainly mercantile interests, mainly the bourgeoisie, that oversees the government on a day-to-day basis.